Let me tell you what Ibrahim Traoré is doing. He has got agricultural projects. Burkina Faso is having a farming boom right now because of this great African leader. He has just made a law that any woman who has a child, her medical bills are completely eliminated. It's free to go to the doctor and have a child in Burkina Faso, in this African country, because mothers and maternal care is so important. Donald Trump, look at this man, try to be like him. Don't be like Zelensky, don't be a worm, be a president. Like Ibrahim Traoré, while the forces that are trying to overthrow Ibrahim Traoré are the same forces that keep Americans poor. We want a prosperous America, not one that is so focused on maintaining the global economic system that our own citizens live in poverty in a world increasingly disillusioned by the failures of conventional leadership. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the 37-year-old interim president of Burkina Faso, has ignited a fire of inspiration that burns brightly from the streets of Ouagadougou to the urban centers of the United States. His revolutionary approach to governance, unapologetic, anti-imperialist stance, and tangible achievements in transforming Burkina Faso have captured the imagination of millions, including, astonishingly, white Americans who are now rallying behind his name, holding his image aloft in protests and demanding that their leaders emulate his model of selfless, people-centered leadership. This is no longer just an African story, it is a global movement, a testament to the universal appeal of a leader who dares to prioritize sovereignty, dignity, and progress over subservience to foreign powers. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's rise to prominence is a phenomenon unlike any other in modern African history. No African leader in recent memory has commanded such widespread admiration, not only from Africans in the black diaspora, but also from communities as far removed as white Americans. These rallies, though small, signal a seismic shift, a recognition that Traoré's leadership, rooted in anti-imperialism, self-reliance, and genuine care for his people, offers a blueprint for governance that resonates universally. Social media platforms like X are abuzz with posts from Americans, both black and white, praising Traoré's courage in standing up to Western powers and his commitment to transforming Burkina Faso into a self-sufficient nation. One X post from a white American activist in Seattle read, "Captain Traoré is showing the world what leadership looks like. Our politicians could learn a thing or two from him. Time to visit Burkina Faso and see real change in action." This global admiration stems from Traoré's unyielding commitment to dismantling the shackles of neocolonialism and his tangible achievements in a short time since seizing power in a coup. In September 2022, Traoré has positioned himself as a modern-day Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's revolutionary icon from the 1980s. His policies nationalizing mineral resources, rejecting Western financial aid, and forging alliances with non-Western powers like Russia have struck a chord with those who see the global order as exploitative and unjust. His message of sovereignty and self-reliance resonates with people worldwide who are disillusioned with leaders beholden to corporate interests or foreign agendas. As one Burkinino analyst aptly described it, Traoré's appeal is algorithmic populism, emotional, visual, anti-Western, and hyper-shareable. A defining moment in Traoré's global rise came in April 2020, when U.S. Africa Command ARICOM head General Michael Langley accused him of misusing Burkina Faso's gold reserves for personal gain, implying that Traoré was trading the nation's wealth for Russian protection, the accusation widely perceived as a smear campaign to undermine Traoré's legitimacy backfired spectacularly. Instead of weakening him, it galvanized Africans and their allies across the world to rally in his defense. On April 30, 2025, tens of thousands poured into the streets of Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's capital, in a massive show of support for their leader. Protesters carried placards reading "Hands off Trial, Ray and No to Imperialist Lies." Musician Oshibi Yohan captured the sentiment, telling the Associated Press, "Because Colin Powell in Iraq was destroyed, Barack Obama lied, Gaddafi was killed, but this time their lies won't affect us." The solidarity was not confined to Burkina Faso. In Ghana and Monrovia, Liberia, thousands joined protests organized by grassroots movements like the Socialist Movement, denouncing foreign interference and celebrating Traoré's defiance. In London, African diaspora communities held rallies, while in Montego Bay, Jamaica, supporters waved Burkina Faso's flag alongside Traoré's image. Even in Nigeria, where two demonstrators were charged with inciting public disturbance for organizing a pro-Trumpified music. This movement, with AI-generated images, some depicting fictional protests in Nairobi, Harare, and New York's Times Square, further fueling the global buzz around Traoré. While some of these images were not real, they reflected the emotional intensity of his support base. No African leader in recent history has inspired such a coordinated continent-wide defense not since the days of came in Nkrumah. Patrice Lumumba or Thomas Sankara has an African figure commanded such loyalty transcending national borders and uniting people against a perceived common enemy. Western imperialism, the Langley controversy highlighted Trayer's unique ability to galvanize not just Burkina Faso, but Africans globally who see in him a leader willing to confront the powers that have historically plundered the continent's resources. Traore's popularity and his bold reforms have come at a steep cost. Since taking power, he has faced multiple coup and assassination attempts with over 20 reported plots against his life, some allegedly orchestrated by Western powers like the US and Britain. The most recent, uncovered in April 2025, involved current and former soldiers collaborating with terrorist leaders from Takeover, aiming to sow total chaos and placed Burkina Faso under international supervision. The plot, which targeted the presidential palace, was foiled through intercepted communications, underscoring the constant threats Traore faces for challenging the global status quo. These attempts are not merely internal power struggles but are widely seen as efforts by imperialist forces to eliminate a leader who threatens their control over Africa's resources. Traore's accusation that Western powers use terrorism as a tool to destabilize resourceric nations like Burkina Faso resonates deeply. In a speech at the 2024 Alliance of Sahel States AES Summit, he declared, "We are victims of our wealth that the imperialists want to take back at any cost to keep us in slavery." His alignment with Russia and Turkey, coupled with his expulsion of French troops in February 2023, has made him a target for those who fear his vision of a sovereign Africa could inspire others. When Traoré assumed power in 2022, Burkina Faso was grappling with a jihadist insurgency that had claimed thousands of lives, displaced over 2 million people, and left the state in control of only about 60% of its territory. Traoré made security his top priority, launching massive recruitment campaigns for the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland (VDP), a civilian militia that collaborates with the military to combat insurgents under his leadership. The VDP's role has been elevated, becoming a cornerstone of Burkina Faso's national defense strategy. Traoré revealed a stark reality: Western powers, particularly France, had denied Burkina Faso access to critical military equipment needed to fight terrorism. In a 2025 interview, Traoré stated, "The terrorism we are witnessing today comes from imperialism, and we are fighting it." He accused Western nations of withholding advanced weaponry to keep Burkina Faso dependent and vulnerable. To counter this, Traoré forged partnerships with Russia and Turkey, securing military hardware that the Burkinabe army had never previously accessed. Reports indicate that Russian paramilitary brigades and Turkish equipment have bolstered Burkina Faso's capabilities, enabling more effective counterinsurgency operations. The results are tangible. While the insurgency persists, Traoré's reforms have reduced terrorist attacks in key areas, with the military reclaiming some rebel-held territories. In April, Traoré declared a general mobilization to support the armed forces, pledging to reconquer all insurgent-controlled areas without negotiation until the threat is significantly weakened. This resolute stance has earned him admiration among Burkinabe, who see him as a leader willing to confront both internal and external enemies. Hidden, one of Traoré's most visible achievements is his ambitious infrastructure program, particularly the construction and upgrading of roads across Burkina Faso for a nation long plagued by poor connectivity. These projects are transformative. Traoré's government is building new roads, widening existing ones, and upgrading gravel paths to pave surfaces, improving access to markets, schools, and healthcare facilities. The Ouagadougou-Donzan Airport, set to open in 2025 with a capacity to handle 1 million passengers annually, is another flagship project symbolizing Burkina Faso's push for modernization. The impact of these roads is best illustrated through the story of Amadou Dio, a 42-year-old farmer from the village of Koudougou. For years, Amadou struggled to transport his millet and sorghum to markets in Ouagadougou, relying on a treacherous, unpaved road that became impassable during the rainy season. Before Captain Traoré, "It took me 2 days to get my crops to the city, and half would spoil," he says now. "With the new paved road, I can make the trip in 4 hours, and my produce arrives fresh. I've doubled my income, and my children can go to school regularly because the road is safe." Amadou's story is one of thousands as farmers, traders, and students benefit from improved connectivity. Breathy